So there's not many leadership teams in the crypto community that are worse than Bitcoin Cash. Maybe Tron or some real shit coins. But...
Yes. Welcome to the Crypto Basic Podcast. I'm Brent Philbin, and we have another interview for you today. Today we're talking with Marius Kramer. Now, Marius is the fund manager for the primary fund at the Ember Fund. Remember, they're emberfund.io. You'll remember that we had an episode with them a couple of months ago. I reached out to Alex, and their CEO, and said, listen, can we talk with Marius, the person who runs the fund? And he said, absolutely, brought him in. So while that episode was compensated, this one is not. And it's important to understand that we were compensated for part of this ecosystem, but not this part. So understanding our biases is extremely important. This episode is going to be very interesting because Marius gives us insight into his thoughts, how he became the #1 crypto contributor on Quora. And he even gives us the quick one-sentence thought on every single coin in the top 100 of CoinMarketCap, and even goes as far as the 200. So stay tuned towards the end of the episode for that. I think that you're going to enjoy this one. It's a little bit shorter. I think it's about 40 minutes of an interview for us, and it's got a lot of good nuggets in there. So sit back, drink your coffee, don't relax, get fired up. It's time for the Crypto Basic Podcast. All right, so welcome to the show, Marius. I didn't even ask you if that's how I pronounced it. That is the correct way to pronounce your name, right?
Yeah, Marius. Marius is the best one.
Okay, perfect. Well, thank you for coming on the show. Where are you calling in from, or where are you coming from?
Germany.
Locally, Germany. Okay, cool. Which city specifically?
Near Stuttgart, you know.
Okay. Yeah. I work with a guy named Colin Stuckert, whose family is from there. Their name was derived from Stuttgart, so that's pretty cool. So, welcome to the show. Now that we know where you're from, or where you're calling in from, tell us about you, what you do, and we're going to get into the specifics of that, but I kind of want to know your version of your story and how you got up to where you are now.
So I was very angry always when I saw a new coin popping up from somewhere like Request Network or Pearl, and I didn't know what it was doing. So I did a lot of research, and I made a summary of all the top 100 coins. That was back in beginning of 2018. And I published that on Reddit, and it got 40,000 views and 1,000 upvotes. And I liked writing about crypto, so I kept writing about it on Reddit, but somehow you don't get a followership or a good following on Reddit. So I was looking for other platforms, and I started to write on Quora. And pretty quickly, I rose to the top 10 of cryptocurrency writers, and shortly after that was the #1 crypto writer. And yeah, now I'm getting several million views every month on crypto topics, and also sometimes other topics that I like writing about, like astronomy, medicine, science, climate science, psychology, but mostly crypto.
So that would basically make you the top contributor on Quora for crypto, right? There's got to be nobody getting more than that.
Yeah, I'm the #1 worldwide on Quora, on crypto, Bitcoin, blockchain, Ethereum, digital currencies. Yeah. That
is awesome. So how did that lead to you being part of the Ember Fund and what they're doing?
They just wrote me, hey, Marius, we're reaching out to influencers now. We just launched our product. And I thought it was super cool. Because, it's just very simple, and it makes crypto much more accessible, because it's not accessible right now. It's very difficult. You have to sign up to exchanges and figure out all the limit orders, buy order, sell order, market order, and funding it with Bitcoin and everything, and KYC. And it's a huge hurdle for most people. And with Ember Fund, it's just sending a Bitcoin there, and then you just buy a whole crypto portfolio of 3 coins that are pre-vetted by experts, such as by me. And so I thought that was pretty cool, and we started working together.
Okay, so they reached out to you. They came to you with this because of your research. You mentioned a coin that is kind of has a funny, not funny. I guess it's not funny because it's bad, but the Oyster Pearl, we've covered their scam, and the what was that guy's name? Bruno Blocks that kind of exit scammed on them.
Oh yeah.
Did you catch that in the beginning?
You mean there was a scam in the beginning?
Well, no, not in the beginning, but I don't know if that was one of the coins where you're like, I don't know, guys, you might want to be careful with this one. There's a couple of red flags, or.
I didn't really. I had a small bag of Pearl, but not so big. But yeah, the red flag was that the team was anonymous, and that's never good. And yeah, then this scam happens. Yeah, I mean, but the Bruno guy,
it's good in Bitcoin. Hey, it's good in Bitcoin to have an anonymous contributor.
Yeah, but I wouldn't pick other smaller projects that are completely anonymous.
Especially if they have control over the funds in some way. It's not like it's not like Satoshi is.
And if they're raising money through an ICO and everything, so you want to be more careful.
Right. So walk me through your kind of quick version of your research process. So what I really liked is when I looked at the 4 coins that you had when we had Alex on the show from Everfund. Yeah, you had 3 coins that I have already looked at, really like, own myself, and a 4th coin that I didn't know, which was Dent. But most people wouldn't have picked those 4 coins as the 4 that they were going to use for their fund or what they're doing. So what does your research process look like there, and how did you come up with choosing those?
It's actually very simple. Well, the process is that my standards are extremely high, astronomically high. And only if you can match those standards, then I'm going to pick you as a coin. And that standard is having at least 1 million users and hopefully at least 10 million users, or being infinitely scalable and infinitely decentralized as a blockchain. And there's only like 5 to 6 to 7 coins that match that criteria. And this is BAT with 80 million downloads and probably 20 million monthly active users. Dent with 20 million registered users. And then Engine with their huge partnership with Samsung. And Engine is now on 80 million Samsung Galaxy S10 devices, which have been shipped so far with the Nox crypto wallet. Nobody knows how many users actually use this wallet, but it's probably a couple 100,000 or 1 million. And it can be very easily be 10 times that once there is more updates coming to the crypto wallet on Samsung, etc., etc. That's pretty much it. And then you just have a few blockchains, which are Quark Chain and IOTA, which are near infinitely scalable and near infinitely decentralized, because for every node that is added to the network, they become more decentralized and more scalable. And this characteristic is very rare in crypto, and only IOTA and Quark Chain really have that. IOTA not yet, but once they launch Coordicide, this is supposed to be how it's going to work. So Quark Chain right now is kind of the only one that is becoming more decentralized the more it grows and more scalable. And yeah, so this is kind of only 5 coins right now. And then there's a few other ones coming up, such as Nexo, which have lent $500 million in crypto funds to people. And this is kind of almost 10% of the whole money that is in crypto right now, because there was a large study done by JP Morgan that found out that for every $1 million that is put into crypto, the whole market cap rises by $50 million.
Interesting.
So for every dollar, it rises by 50x, by $50. So right now we are at $250 billion. That means there is around $5 billion is in crypto right now. The money that has flown into crypto is around $5 billion. And Nexo has contributed 10% of that. So that's why Nexo is a huge deal. And they might become a multi-billion-dollar company next year. Just not just with a crypto market cap, but with the general real company market cap. And they're already making $20 million in revenue every year. And I think they're actually number 1 with that. Maybe BAT could be at that level as well, but otherwise there is no one else there. And then there's BNB, of course, which is also they also have 1 million users, or several million with the Binance Exchange. But yeah, apart from that, there's not so many other coins that have lots of traction. Theta as well, with 1 million users on their streaming service. But yeah. So the whole 5,000 cryptocurrencies, that sounds so huge as a as a group of cryptocurrencies. Which one should you pick? It's actually there's only like 8 ones that are extremely good, and I would only invest in those 8.
Interesting. So I noticed you didn't mention Bitcoin. So most people that I would have on the show, if they were picking their 5-coin portfolio or whatever, they would start with Bitcoin and then they would pick the rest. So what are your thoughts on why you would not include Bitcoin in the portfolio, or at least in those coins that you believe are, great targets for the future of blockchain and, well, I guess not blockchain because IOTA is a DAG, but the future of distributed ledger technology?
But DAGs are also blockchains because blockchains are DAGs, but they only have one child, whereas DAGs have many childs. Blockchain is also DAG, but only one child DAG.
Oh, okay.
Most people, they don't think about that.
I always consider them different in my mind.
Yeah, they are different, of course, because they're an end child. So IOTA is an end child DAG, and blockchains are one child DAG, so to speak. So there's definitely a difference, but in the end, they're still DAGs.
So anyway, back to the, even though I got off topic with DAG there, what is kind of your thought behind not including Bitcoin as one of the coins in the portfolio, or the coins that you just listed?
I've been very anti-Bitcoin for the whole last year because they were not scalable at all. We've hit the complete transaction limit 3 times already this year, where the transactions shot up to $6. They were not decentralized at all because of all the mining pool centralization, and they used huge amounts of energy. But I think I changed my tune a little bit with the announcement of the new protocol that wants to get rid of mining pools and wants to make solo mining possible again. So that way, Bitcoin would finally be decentralized in a way, and it might also become scalable once the blockchain community is okay with increasing the block size limit maybe to 10 MB instead of 4 MB that it is right now, or 20 MB. That would already be very sufficient. And I think in a year or 2, the Lightning Network will pick up. So this will help scalability as well. And then there's only the mining energy left. And I think there might also be a solution there. So now I am more pro Bitcoin. And also in terms of just the market, there is so much power or buying power behind Bitcoin, especially from institutional investors, that I am now more open to having Bitcoin in a portfolio. But I wasn't a fan of that at all since the beginning of the year. But in the last couple of months, we have seen how strong Bitcoin just can be. So now it would also be recommendable to have a portion of Bitcoin in the portfolio, 50% or less or more, depending on how much risk you want to take, of course.
So your thoughts on that echo mine. And when we started this podcast, I was 0% Bitcoin in my portfolio, echoed everything that you said. And then I've gone through that same journey of kind of loosening up to Bitcoin, where I was just like, you know what, that network really, really matters. The network effect is important. And I didn't even know about what you just said about the solo mining happening. If that eliminates one of the key pieces of the pseudo centralization that Bitcoin's going through, that's a big check mark in that direction. Yeah,
so that finally tipped me over the edge, so to speak. But before that, with no solution to mining centralization and Bitcoin not being able to scale above 11 transactions per second, I didn't see any way that this could be successful in the coming bull market. But now that they have opened up to finally acknowledging and finding a solution to mining pool centralization, I also think that they might not be completely opposed to increasing the block size limit once there is really lots of transactions going on and there's still no other way. I don't think they would be as opposed to it at that point, because now the team has convinced me behind Bitcoin that they want to change things. They want to improve things. They see the flaws and they don't sweep it under the carpet anymore.
There's another piece of that puzzle that I think is important. Even though you didn't mention Bitcoin and you have some good thoughts towards Bitcoin, and one of those is the block size increasing, what you didn't do is tell me that Bitcoin Cash was a good alternative. So you were kind of out on both of those until you softened up a little bit to Bitcoin. Is that an accurate thing to say?
Well, Bitcoin Cash is relevant to me because the leadership is as incapable as possible. So there's not many leadership teams in the crypto community that are worse than Bitcoin Cash. Maybe Tron or some real shit coins. But,
yes.
but if you don't have good leadership and professionalism and you know how to lead a community, and you only have bullshit leadership and toxic leadership and trying to, like in kindergarten where you're trying to be a bully, you can never build a successful business like that.
Listen, there is a worse leadership than Bitcoin Cash, and it's Bitcoin SV. So let's be clear here.
They are not even on my radar.
Yeah, they don't even exist.
Yeah.
Again, I really love it when I'm aligned with people who are choosing what to invest in for large sums of money, because sometimes because of the way the social presence is with Tron or something like EOS, I feel like I might be in the minority. But I'm pretty confident in the way I look at things and the way I investigate them. And now to have the number one researcher on Quora aligned with what I'm thinking, now I'm pretty much just going to have an even bigger ego than I already did. So I appreciate that.
Excellent.
So you do engage in some trading over the course of managing the fund. So with Ember Fund, when you send a trade through to either rebalance the portfolio or to add a new coin, what is your thought process behind that? Do you use like the charting and the indicators and the triangles and stuff, or do you have more of a fundamental approach to that?
It's a mix of all. I think it's maybe 70% fundamentals and 30% technical analysis. So basically it's trying to catch the next pump and selling at the top, which is like the most basic trading strategy, but it's kind of also the only one that I would do. Of course, there are some more refined trading strategies where sometimes there's an announcement and you know that it could pump by 100%, so you got to wait for that. But the Ember Fund is not really for day trading because most people also don't want to do that. It's more for, let's say, midterm trading. So we do a trade every 3 to 4 to 5 weeks. And so we're picking kind of the best approach between just holding and day trading.
And if you're listening to this episode and you didn't listen to the Ember Fund episode, go back and listen to that so you can understand what we mean when we're talking about it, because it was pretty unique as not being custodial. They don't hold your money as a fund. They simply send you what you should do with your own money, and you accept or decline it, which is a pretty cool way to run things. And every 4 or 5 weeks is, now that I'm thinking about my own personal portfolio, that sounds about like what I do. If you ask me what a price is on a daily basis, I don't know, but I know once I research and learn about one of the few coins that I'm interested in adding to my portfolio, I do that, but it only happens once a month, once every couple of months or something like that. So I can totally see where you're at with that. And that is the kind of trading that I can get behind. Like the real active stuff is tough. Have you done any active trading, like real technical stuff in your own personal portfolios?
Sometimes, yeah. Sometimes I do day trading.
Okay.
But it doesn't happen that often either. Maybe once every 2 weeks, once a week. But sometimes there's a shitcoin pump and I chase it, and sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't. But it's not really worth the stress. I only do it when I'm like, I have the time and I'm like, oh yeah, all right, let's do this. I'm up for some fun. But it's not really worth it in the long run, especially for the last couple months. There have not been so many pumps. But that could change again soon. Interestingly, there have been 50% pumps on Binance throughout the whole last 5 days. So alt season might be coming back. We don't know, but things are looking a bit more green again after this long period of altcoin winter.
I have a different view of alt season than I think a lot of people, and you may be aligned with this, so I'm gonna say it quickly and then see if you kind of agree or disagree. I see it as more, it's gonna be an alt season for a very few small number of coins, and the rest are going to continue to get hurt, and they're going to close up shop after they run out of their ICO funds, and we're going to see soft exit scams left and right, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think so. But still, we have had several shitcoin pumps on Binance the last couple of days, so I think in the long run, yes. Maybe over the next 6 months, we will not see shitcoins growing equally with other coins. And then there's only going to be the bats and the dents and the engines that are going to grow. But I think until then, there might still be quite some shitcoin pumps going around because the whales, they make too good money of that. So they love pumping a low set coin and then just selling to the newbies. I don't know if that's ever going to come out of fashion. I think yes for most coins, but I still think there's going to be some coins that are just going to get pumped and dumped.
Yeah, well, I mean, there's tons of pump groups, right? We have a Discord server for the podcast, and constantly we're getting messages, and we have a little part of the Discord chat where we post the screenshots of all the people that send scammy pump group direct messages to you. And those groups exist. So some of it is a self-fulfilling prophecy. If you know that a certain indicator is going to cause a group of 1,000 people to do the same thing, then of course you can make decisions based on that, which is interesting. But it's so tough to beat the fees. So now that we talked a little bit about active trading. Well, last time we had Ember Fund on the show, the fund that you were managing was Litecoin, Engine, BAT, and Dent. Is it still those 4 coins, or did you add or subtract any?
We have taken out Engine, and we have gone into Bitcoin. It was 3 weeks ago.
Oh, okay.
Like I said, Bitcoin looks very strong right now. And I'm very certain that towards the end of the year, we will see Bitcoin crossing its ATH, 20K. So,
oh, okay. Yeah. So you're seeing that as a near future thing, or just like eventually it will definitely go there?
This year. I'm very certain that it's going to cross it this year.
Oh, wow. By the end of the year. Okay. I mean, that'd be great for our listeners.
We've seen 14K like nothing, and that's just spit distance from 20K. So the next run up, very likely that it's going to cross 20K.
Okay, so that's a prediction I can get behind. I hope that happens. And again, a portion of my portfolio is definitely dedicated to Bitcoin. If you were not listening to our podcasting, you were trying to find one of your favorite resources for starting your research for like a non kind of scammy outlet, where would you kind of start to learn about a new coin that you might want to research?
I would just search on Reddit and Google, and that's it basically.
When you're searching Google, do you kind of, what I tend to do is I type in the coin, try to get the TLDR, look at the white paper, and then I type in the coin's name with scam and try to find the people that are saying the bad stuff. Yeah,
true. That's what Reddit's for, because in Reddit there's a lot of hate, which is good.
That is exactly a way to describe Reddit. You'll definitely find a lot of hate there.
That's good, because in the last bull run, everybody's been super positive. Oh, it's a hidden gem, whatever, blah, blah. But the tune has completely changed, and now investors have matured. And they try to shoot down everything, and only if you cannot shoot it down however much you want it, then it's actually a good coin. And that's how it should be.
I agree. It's the ICOs or IEOs or STOs, whatever you want to call them, are definitely driving a lot of that thought, because again, from the back end for us, for the podcast, we get offers constantly to have ICOs pay us to come on the show, or IEOs or new coins pay us to come on the show to kind of get their notoriety out there. And I would say my ratio of talking to anybody versus telling them no is probably 40-1.
Oh, wow.
I tell almost everybody no that's interested in coming on the show. So, but it's out there, and there are a lot of different media brands, and there are a lot of different YouTubers, and there are a lot of different podcasts even that'll have everybody on the show that'll pay them and consider it entertainment. And you know what? Do your own research as to whether these people are actually real or not. And I think that's a lot of the kind of bad, how something like Tron ends up getting as high as it does, or something like Substratum even existed, or something like that. So what's something that I don't know enough to ask you that would be interesting to the listeners about what you do with either Ember Fund, or about what you do on your own for researching and stuff like that?
I'm not sure about which topic specifically. Do you have any ideas?
Just anything that you might think of as oh, of course, this people don't know this thing, and I wouldn't know to ask you. Like if you were a flight attendant, I wouldn't know to ask you like, oh, are your bathrooms big or something like that. I don't know. I'm just picking that out of thin air. But is there?
I can't come up with anything right now. Can you poke my brain a bit? Give me some more words.
All right. So I'll try to pin something down. What happens like when you're on Quora and you're going around and you're answering these questions? Do you ever give negative information? Do you go on there and say things like Tron is a scam, avoid it, or maybe not Tron, because Tron may not be a scam, it might just be an annoying coin, or Substratum is a scam, avoid it, or Oyster Pearl is a scam, avoid it, or do you do any of that, or is it mostly just answering people's questions for like their wallets and stuff like that?
I say that something is a scam often, not so often. Maybe let me look at the top 100 here. I can just go over the top 100 and tell you everything about what I think about the top 100. I think that's
if you can let's do that. I love the quick one sentence version of all the coins in the top 100.
All right, Bitcoin, we talked about that. It's pretty strong. Ethereum will be very interesting because they launch 2.0 in January, and I think we can see $1,000 Ethereum by the end of the year as well. And at that point, it will also be almost infinitely scalable and almost infinitely decentralized. So that should be pretty interesting. XRP could also be at a $1 billion market cap because they haven't done anything except having like a local branch bank as a customer. They've bought MoneyGram, so I give them that. But we need to see how that's going to turn out. But still, $11 billion is way too overvalued. Bitcoin Cash is a shitcoin. Half of the top 10 should not be there. Bitcoin SV, shit. EOS, centralized shitcoin. Litecoin, no development in 9 months. Bitcoin Cash, toxic leadership.
Yeah, that was brutal when I saw those chats. I was like, man, that's so disappointing because Litecoin feels like it should just be like it's better at being Bitcoin Cash than Bitcoin Cash is.
Yeah. So there's only Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Binance Coin that really deserve to be in the top 10, and everyone else just doesn't deserve to be in there. And then there's Monero, which is good for a research project, but I don't see how they will ever get mass adoption because their technology can just be so easily copied. Stellar is just a copycat of XRP, and they have done 100 times less than XRP actually. Cardano is just proof of stake. It's not interesting at all. It's all right, but that's it. And then Unus SEDLEO is a fun coin, I think. Tron is the same shit as EOS, but it has a more toxic leadership. So Tron and EOS are actually the most centralized.
Look, it just has kidney stones right now.
Yeah. Well, maybe he becomes a bit humble because of that. Dash is actually not so bad. They're impervious to 51% attacks. And they're somewhat scalable, but I don't see how they will... They don't have strong partnerships so much and not such good marketing. Ethereum Classic is that Tezos is pretty good in terms of decentralization, but it's not so scalable. It only scales to 300 TPS. And the only solution to that is Lightning Network. So I don't know. IOTA is super interesting, and they might be the most scalable, the infinitely scalable blockchain DAC out there in 3 months once Corticide launches.
I'm really excited to see the Corticide on that.
Yeah. And I wrote a huge article about it. And you can find it on my Corticide, Marius, Kramer. Chainlink only has a blog post by Google, and they haven't even launched decentralized oracles after 2 years and $20 million in funding. I don't know why it's there. Neo is actually the most centralized blockchain with 10 nodes, of which 6 are owned by Neo. But they want to launch 2.0, 3.0, maybe have sharding. I don't know. We'll see. Maker, actually super strong stablecoin. Cosmos, some Binance IO. I don't know. They haven't done anything. NEM is dead. Ontology is all right. USD coin, stablecoin, CryptoCom. I don't know what they're doing. Zcash, they have, I think, only like a couple hundred transactions per day, so nobody uses it. V Systems, it's a pump and dump coin, I think. Dogcoin, I love Dogcoin. It's always going to be there. Decred is not so bad, but they have zero marketing. VeChain, super strong coin. They closed the biggest partnership in crypto with Walmart, the Fortune 1 company. Basic attention token, 80 million users, absolute bomb. I think it will be the top 10 or top 5 by next year. Quantum, They have some good consensus algorithm, I think. Pretty good. Hedge trade, I think is also pump down coin. Huobi token. Yeah, it's good. Exchange token, Bitcoin Gold is a scam. Paxos, True USD, stablecoins. Omisa Go is dead. Ravencoin is pretty good. They actually launched 20,000. They issued 20,000 decentralized assets on their blockchain. It's not too bad actually, but it's not sure to say how well they will do in the next year. Lisk, they are super centralized and don't have any partnerships. Not so interesting. Nano, awesome technology, zero marketing. Algorand, Binance IO, it's not so bad actually. KuCoin shares, Bitcoin Diamond. KuCoin shares is an exchange token again. Bitcoin Diamond is a scam. BitTorrent is a scam. Inside Chain is not too bad. Waves, I forgot what they do. Energy is just POS chain. Icon, yeah, they are doing something like Cardano. It's just all right, but it's not so exciting. Holochain, I forgot to talk about those. They might actually also be infinitely decentralized and scalable like IOTA. So watch that.
Interesting.
But they had a delay in their Holopod delivery, so that's why they dumped so hard. But they might do a 300% pump again soon, like they've done many times. Digibytes is super boring. They don't have anything interesting. Theta has 1 million users. It might be the decentralized YouTube. And it actually has a YouTube founder as an advisor, so super awesome. 0x is a protocol for dApps. Pretty cool. BitShares is dead. Augur has 10 daily active users. Aurora, I think, is a scam coin. Lambda, I don't know. Bitcoin is a scam. Hypercash is a scam. Pondiax is dead. IOST has pretty cool technology, so we can see more from those. Komodo has.
We just had their one of their founders. I think their founder on the show.
Cool.
might have been their chief technical officer, but
So,
they were interesting to listen.
Komodo, some privacy chain is all right. Monacoin, I think, is I forgot what they do. Some kind of credit card meme stuff.
They're another meme coin.
Yeah. Nash Exchange, Own Exchange, it's all right. Bytem is dead. Sia Coin has 10 competitors that do the same. Verge is a scam. Quant, probably a scam. DAI, good stablecoin. Ingratia, scam. MadeSafe coins like Sia Coin. Ziliqua, pretty good, but it's like a lighter version of blockchain, a bit of a weaker version. RIF token, don't know. Eternity, pretty good tech, but it's not as scalable, not as decentralized as the other coins that I mentioned before. Ardor is like List. Status is like an app that makes crypto more accessible, but I don't have many downloads. Steam is also dead. Metaverse, don't know. Ren, don't know. Walton Chain is like a weak version of that. Crypto.com. Wasn't there already Crypto.com?
Yeah, they have like 2 coins. I don't know. What's interesting is they reached out to us to have them on the show, but their credit card thing had such high fees that I've already talked so much smack about them that I'm not 100%. I don't know. I may have them on, but I think it might be kind of an adversarial interview. But yeah, I don't know why they have multiple coins, and one of them you have to have so many of them to have different levels of their credit card or their debit card or whatever. I don't know. Yeah,
they're kind of look kind of scammy. GX Chain also not too bad. Golem is like outsourced computing power, pretty good, but they have to show some traction. Zcoin is dead. OneChain, they just had 100% pump for some update for our partnership. Pump and dump. Engine super strong, almost biggest partnership in crypto behind that. ABBC coin is a scam. Wax is a gaming coin, but no traction. Beam, some kind of privacy. Elastos, they have pretty good tech, but they don't know about marketing, management, PR. So I'm not so confident that they will make it. Grin is also some privacy coin. TomoChain, I forgot what they do. Elf is also a computing coin. Nexo, 95. Oh, they're going to be top 10 next year, I think. They make so much money.
Wow.
They make so much money. It's absolutely crazy. $500 million of crypto loans they have given out. Soft, don't know. Syntax, don't know. Stratus, I think it's like Lisk and Project Pi. I think it wasn't too bad last time I looked at it. And Factum, don't know what they do anymore. But so yeah, that was top 100. And as you can see, there's only like 10 good coins.
Yeah, the big takeaway there for me is that so many of those, you're just like, no, they're a scam. They're dead. They're whatever. And they're still in the top 100. So I think that really speaks volumes to what may be happening in the future with these coins that are only in the top 200 or the top 300 or like they're really far down. They're even less likely to be.
That would actually go quicker. Yeah, but What did you want to say? Yeah.
Well, I'm just saying that, like, even as you get further down in the top 200, there might be one or two coins that are even worth looking at, and you need to do what you do, which is be the number one contributor on Quora to even figure that out. So it's so tough to navigate that field. So we always caution, be very careful with like the low market cap projects, and you really got to do your research there to figure out what you're getting into and that kind of thing. Since we're coming close to the end time, rather than go over the next 200. I think what I would ask you is what has you the most excited about blockchain adoption in the future, rather than a specific project? Like, for instance, for me, decentralized autonomous organizations are really.
First, let's go over the top 200. It's just it's just 2 minutes because there's so much shit there. So we have Dent, 20 million users, pretty good project. Decentraland, they were going to launch soon in a couple of months. Electroneum scam, Horizon scam, Revain dead, Digix.io not too bad, Redcoins, gaming coin that is kind of dead, Nebula's kind of interesting, but nobody knows what they're doing. Nulls is kind of all right. Odem, I think it's education, and they have $1 million in revenue. Cash is an exchange, and they belong to Loopring, I think. They're pretty interesting. Don't know Newton, Loom Network is all right. Carbon Network is an exchange. Digitex is like the BitMEX competitor, but they delayed the launch. Matic is a Binance IEO without traction. Enigma Privacy, not so interesting. Crypterium, Populous, Sentiments, they're all kind of zombies, not doing so much. And then there's not much interesting here. QuarkChain is the only good one I see here. So Dent and QuarkChain is good, I would say. Then there's like Harmony also. Sorry, I forgot Harmony is almost as good as QuarkChain, I think. But then there's not much left here. Power Ledger is very strong. Theta Fuel is just a token. Celery Network. Funfair, they have some traction. IODEX. Metal, they have 20,000 users. Polymath, Next. WrestleCoin, Dead. Civic, Gnosis. Cortex. They don't have traction. They don't have... Metrics AI Network is somewhat of a good blockchain. They don't have traction. Elrond 10x and it was exited as a scam. So yeah, there's only like QuarkChain, Harmony, and Dent in the top 200, and then the top 300, there's nothing anymore. Maybe
I feel like at that point, especially now that you kind of have to do an IEO and have a partnership with an exchange, it's really hard to even find a coin outside the top 100 that has anything. So it's a tough atmosphere to navigate. Syndicator,
they have some users. They have maybe 20,000 users. Poet is a very interesting publishing coin, so that would be the only one in the top 300 that I would say this is somewhat interesting. But yeah, that's it. In the top 300, you'll only have Poet and nothing else here. That is, yeah, and there was the whole top 300.
There you go. We covered all 300 of the crypto projects in about 8 minutes flat, and you got the quick version of what you need to know. So if you're looking at the future, like 5 years or something like that, what is the piece of blockchain technology that has you the most, or the use case, that has you the most excited?
I think just the main use case, global currency, borderless, scalable, decentralized, impenetrable, anonymous, or somewhat anonymous. Super exciting. And I'm also very excited about BAT, revolutionizing privacy and advertisement.
I can tell you I use BAT as my daily driver on my for my browsers. I'm using it now, and in the beginning it was a little bit more buggy, but they weren't a Chromium skin before. Now that it's Chromium skin, like it's basically just fine everywhere I go, and it works.
It's amazing, yeah.
All right, so that's kind of basically towards the end of the episode. So can you tell us a little bit about where we can find you, where we can follow you? I guess Quora would be the number one place?
Yes, just Quora. And have a look at my main answers. So you can search by most viewed answers, and there's several answers with a couple million views. So it's always good to just start there and read my top 100 answers, and this already gives you a very good overview of all of crypto within 2 hours. This might be the fastest way to get into crypto if you don't know anything.
Is there anything else you want to add to the listeners? So that's a great way to get into crypto. So is this podcast. And is there anything else that they should know, maybe about Ember Fund or about anything that you want to kind of give a shout out to before we exit?
No, I think that's the important stuff. Ember Fund and Quora and your podcast, of course. You only need those three and you're going to succeed in crypto.
That's it. No, that's
and
it.
Reddit.
That's all you need.
Reddit.
Don't look anywhere else. Well, we get all our stuff from Reddit, so.
Yeah, most of it.
Especially our news episodes. I would say 80% of our news episode comes from Reddit. Like just looking at what the top stories are, and then reading the title, and then talking about how the title is completely wrong and why and what actually happened.
Yeah, there's lots of fake news going around, but it's fun to dissect the information because it teaches you how you can think logically and how to think critically. I agree with that 100%. Which almost no one can do. And that's what you need to survive in crypto.
All right, so thank you for coming on the show. Thank you for giving us the rundown. Thank you for telling us about your thought process, how you make decisions. And remember, if you wanted to invest in the fund that Marius is running, you can do that on Ember Fund. We have still our referral link in the show notes. You can grab that anytime. It's also on the main page of our website. So check that out. And my guess is I'm going to want to have you back on the show in like 6 months, like after the new year, and see how some of these predictions went.
Oh yeah, that should be. I'm actually going to make some prediction posts soon where I'm predicting the whole price growth of Bitcoin for the next 5 or 6 years, because I think it's going to max out at 180,000 in 2 years. Because every time after the halvening, the price increased by 20x, and before the halvening, it increased by 3x. So we have already had a 3x now to 10,000, and now it should increase by 20x. To around 200,000. And on one interesting thing I can say is that when the Ember Fund was 100% up, everybody invested in it. But now that it went down by 50%, nobody invested in it anymore. So it's buying high, selling low. But of course, you know that you should always buy at the bottom. So now when it's down, people should actually invest right now instead of when it's up, but they're doing the opposite. But that's right, exactly. That's how crypto is.
All right. Thanks for being on the show. We'll talk to you again for checking out those predictions, see how they work, and buy the Ember Fund now, I guess, because it's down.
Yeah. Buy low, sell high. Right?
All right.
All right.
Thanks,
awesome.
Marius.
Thanks for having me, and catch up in 6 months.
Will do.